to the United States, and there are emerging concerns over recent revelations that the Trump administration plans to slash funding for foreign aid. Trump proposes to slash funding for United Nations programs by over 50%. Humanitarian-focused news website IRIN has been looking at the potential impact of a big cut in U.S. funding to the United Nations. The U.S. currently foots about 22% of the total bill for the UN budget. The U.S. funding for UN peacekeeping action is even higher at 28%. The White House also wants to reduce funding for voluntary assessments and programs for all international organizations. These include the World Food Programme, the UN's Refugee Agency, and the Children's Fund, UNICEF. This is likely to have dire consequences in Africa, especially at a time when the continent is battling with one of its worst humanitarian crises, orchestrated by severe drought and conflict. IRIN warns that the cuts may also impact the fight against HIV negatively. The U.S. is responsible for about two-thirds of the global funding of international assistance for HIV, which flows mostly to sub-Saharan Africa. And joining us to discuss this further is CGTN's Daniel Renches. He is now joining me with the details from Washington, D.C. Daniel, is there clarity, though, on the extent of aid cuts the Trump administration will be seeking to make?
Well, I want to start by saying that this is a politically aspirational budget. So it gives the broad outlines of what the Trump administration and the Trump White House would like to see Congress enact, because Congress has the power to set budgets and must go through a lengthy process of negotiation. And we already have indications that not just Democrats, but also some Republicans who are much more multilateral and international in their focus would be likely to push back against many of these proposals, seeing the necessity of maintaining American soft power, despite the fact that Trump's budget director has said that this preference is hard power, military, intelligence, all of that kind of thing against soft power, all of the things that America does to influence the world through things like development aid, educational assistance, healthcare assistance, and all that kind of thing. But what we have specifically here is a huge attack on potentially American funding of climate initiatives. So we have the Global Climate Change Initiative, a $350 million US aid program slashed. We have the Green Climate Fund, which is part of the UN's Paris Agreement. $1 billion has been given of a $3 billion US commitment that would be slashed altogether. As well as that, the World Bank would receive $650 million less over a 3-year period. But as I say, don't forget, this is aspirational. It is a statement of political intent, and essentially the Trump White House does not have control of the purse strings.
And as you put it there, Daniel, of course, this is a huge attack, or likely to be a huge attack on U.S. Funding there, but there are likely to be lengthy negotiations over this issue. But looking at it, though, from the proposal perspective, aid from the U.S. does support an array of sectors ranging from healthcare to peacekeeping. Are there any indications at this point which areas the Trump administration considers a priority?
Well, some reassurance to the global health community on PEPFAR, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief in Africa. This, as you've indicated, is a huge contributor to solving the problem of HIV/AIDS on the African continent. The Trump administration has initially given commitments that it will not slash those budgets, that it will maintain all of its current commitments. So what does that mean when the Trump administration is also proposing a 29% cut in State Department budgets, which includes US aid? That means that other humanitarian programs, other health programs, educational initiatives, possibly the Young African Leadership Initiative established by President Obama, would be on the chopping block. So the soft power elements of of American power are likely to receive a huge battering if this Trump proposal is put into action.
Right, Daniel Ranges for us there in Washington, D.C.